Welcome. I'm Ashley Richards. As I stand here presenting my Assignment 2 presentation on the Wulkurukaba lands, I would now like to take the time to acknowledge and appreciate and pay my respects to Indigenous and Torres Strait Islanders past, present, and emerging. Today, I will be presenting my chosen topic, which is the date of January 26 as Australia Day. Should it be changed? Here in this presentation, I will discuss the reasons in favour and against the change. And I will also be including some key challenges around this controversial topic. I do hope you enjoy my presentation. Now, let's start with the argument in favour of the change. Here in modern day Australia, we have seen more and more people protesting each and every Australia Day, year after year. These protests are illustrated that this date has been identified as Invasion Day, not a day of celebration. These protests are publicly demonstrating that a large minority would like the date to be changed out of respect for the Indigenous peoples of Australia. Emma Garlett from Painted Black explains what the 26th of January means. Well, it's an analogy. She further explains that just imagine that you're at home, everything's all good, you're doing your own thing, then bang, somebody comes into your home without permission. They invade your space. They take all of your possessions. They don't even acknowledge you as the owner of this property. Then they claim the property as no one else. Does that sound familiar? Terra nullius, maybe? Yes, it does sound familiar. Now just imagine that this same process is reenacted or you're reminded each and every single year. Wouldn't that be so painful? It doesn't seem very nice, does it? A good point that is to be acknowledged right now is that many of our Australian councils, well, just a handful amongst our 500 odd councils in Australia, have either shifted or incorporated a more Indigenous orientation to replace Australia Day on the 26th of January. The Change the Day movement has been developed to show respect to our Indigenous Australians. Amongst those local councils who have already achieved that movement include Flinders Island, Hobart, Tasmania, Fremantle, Yarra Victoria, Darebin, Moreland, Byron Bay, New South Wales, and Inner West, just to drop a few names. These local councils have made such a significant impact, and they are the strongest advocates for changing the date. Controversy. This is a very controversial topic. So now we're going to discuss the against. So that means a lot of people want to keep Australia Day. So as you know, that a lot of people do celebrate this day. We have citizenships on this day. People are now Australians, which is beautiful. It's very significant. And a lot of people from, multiple places around the world come here to become Australian citizens. So I watched a recent ABC original episode of Hear Me Out, which discusses Australia Day. This included an elite group of Indigenous personalities, which they conducted an open discussion about changing the day of Australia Day. So Anthony Dillon, who is an academic and commentator of Indigenous affairs, he advocated in keeping the day as is. Mr. Dillon, he shared with the panel that himself and other local Indigenous people attend the Australian Day events, and he knows no one who is Indigenous that doesn't attend or celebrate this event. He further expressed, changing the day is not a relevant issue, and it is a waste of energy, and we need to focus on the more important and significant C's of closing that gap. This is where we will make a more relevant impact to our Indigenous communities. Tyson Lindsay, a man of the 7 tribes of the Murray-Mallee and First Nations consultant, agreed with Mr. Dillon. Mr. Lindsay, he expressed that changing the date or getting rid of the celebration will not heal anything. Mr. Lindsay further explained that it is all up to us to guide our youth and support our elders with a key focus on hitting those recommendations into closing the gap. Not everyone on that panel was agreeing, though. There was a lot of back talk about, how awful it is that Indigenous people have to endure this every single day, not just on the event, but how significant it would be in changing that. So we are now going to go to the last part of my presentation, which is the reflection of key challenges. Now, I've specified and identified the ones that have stood out the most to me, and I believe that is relevant for this topic. So, first of all, what is the meaning of Australian Day to you? Most of us, if not all, we celebrate this with family and friends. And also, there's a lot of people that come to Australia, as I said previously, to be part of the citizenship here, because we are a very great country. We have a lot of support for people. We have Medicare, we have Centrelink. People feel more safe and accounted for here in Australia. So everyone has a different opinion on why we celebrate Australia. Some of the journals that I came across and some YouTube videos and short documentations include that Australia Day is part of the white supremacy. And I understand that's a very negative impact. And I really think that Australia has evolved from this. From 1788 to now, we have immensely evolved. We have created Closing the Gap. We have put the recommendations in. We have really uplifted and included our beautiful Indigenous and Torres Strait Islander people. And that brings me to the question, are we living in the past when we don't celebrate Australia Day? Are we not trying to create a uniting front and a uniting back and, all inclusive? We just want to be united. And I just personally believe that that's what Australia is about, being united and being, come together, not dividing us all. So I know there's a lot of people who are protesting and using a lot of energy towards these protests. And I feel like they're bringing a huge divide in this nation. And I wonder if that energy could be better utilized for closing the gap. So furthermore to the key challenges I have, the intergenerational trauma. There's so many documents about this, so many peer-reviewed journals that I've read, media reports, and various other platforms that are around this topic of discussion. So the various discussions believe that reminiscing due to this date truly brings significance to the reasoning to change the date due to the past trauma experience and how it has followed generation after generation. Is that enough to say that because of our parents or your parents, they've experienced trauma, should a specific date be dismissed? How would you feel about it? Would you or wouldn't you either feel that trauma each and every day? Would a specific date really bring that, pain and agony and torment that comes with the trauma? I found an excellent speech by Jacinta Nappington Price. She is phenomenal. I follow her and I really appreciate her. She's a senator for the Northern Territory and is the Shadow Minister for Indigenous Affairs. And she stated that one of her parents is Indigenous and the other is white. So she explains that one parent's ancestors have experienced such trauma due to the colonization from invasion day onwards, and another was brought here to Australia as a convict away from their original country, and that experience is traumatic in itself. So, if intergenerational trauma has been present, then I'm guessing I would receive the trauma from both sides. That's her statement. That's Jacinta's statement. Lastly, I would like to point out that creating a division in our society is a key challenge. I cannot not express this enough. We have seen so many protests. It's growing in numbers, and it feels like there's a growth of hatred for Australia, and I feel like it's damaging our nation in a way. And I just believe that the build up to and the aftermath, people are manifesting all this energy. And as I said before, could be better accommodated to closing the gap. Do you agree or disagree? I'd like to take the time to really appreciate you watching my presentation, and God bless.